This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Luke Campbell. How are you, mate, first of all?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Obviously, the big news for yourself is you've decided to hang up the gloves as a professional boxer. My first question to you then, Luke, is how does it feel to be an officially retired boxer now?
It's still something I'm getting used to. You know, it's quite strange, but you do something for so long. You know, the majority of my life I've been boxing. You know, it becomes who you are, your identity. So I'm not the boxer anymore, am I? So it's a little strange.
Let's just kind of track back, Luke, obviously after your very successful 2012 Olympics. You turned pro the year after. I was at your debut against Andy Harris. What's your kind of memories from that, even though that's like you're talking 8 years ago now, that was when you made your pro debut at Craven Park. What do you remember about it?
Just the crowd, you know, going out for my first fight as a professional. I like the crowd from the pros to the amateurs, so different. That's what really stuck out for me. Like, I'm going out there now to fight, and it's like the fans want blood, they want knockouts, they want excitement, you know, and it was completely different to the amateur crowd.
The majority of people who make their professional debuts kind of wound up possibly on a big show, but somewhere down the undercard, I suppose, depending who you are. But you did things in a different way by kind of headlining in your home place of Hull at a stadium. I mean, not many people even do that.
No, and like to look back and think about that now, it's quite amazing, really. You know, when you think about it, and then obviously what you've just said, then it's like, wow, yeah, I did have it good there, you know. And it's I got to thank the fans first and foremost, and Eddie and Matchroom for making it all happen.
So from that point, Luke, you had a string of victories, but the fight that obviously people kind of anticipate for yourself more so than anything else was the Tommy Coyle fight. Obviously, Tommy Coyle, the other big name in Hull. Everyone wanted to see you two fight, and there was a lot of pressure going into that fight for both of you, wasn't there? It was like,
yeah,
I'm not going to kind of downplay it by saying it's just about bragging rights, but for you two being from Hull, that was a pivotal moment in your career as well.
Yeah, do you know what? It was two big names in the world of boxing, and it was a big fight. We all know Tommy brought excitement and drama to the shows, so it was it was a big fight for both of us in our careers, and you know, it was a hell of a night for both of us, for Hull itself, for I don't know if Hull could ever redo that type of night again, where you get two good fighters from the same city and create a massive show like that.
And obviously after that fight, a few months later, you were to suffer your first defeat as a professional in what was a bit of a shock defeat at the time. I think it was December of 2015 against Yvonne Mendy. And I remember speaking to you after that, and you were just like obviously distraught after that defeat, weren't you?
Yeah, do you know what? That's probably my biggest regret in my boxing career, was being in the ring that night. You know, it's a night that I should not have been in the ring. You know, I had came down with a virus. My body was shut down. I was weak. The lights was on, but no one was in. And I was stupid to get in the ring. But you know, that's the type of thing. I didn't have a good, solid team around me. You know, to listen, look, you're not fighting tonight. You're way off. You're a million miles off. You're not going in there tonight. And you know, unfortunately, I didn't have a good team that protected me at that time. And as a fighter, all you think about, oh, I'm not pulling out, like, you know, I can't pull out. It'll look like that I'm weak or whatever else. But I wasn't wise enough at the time to say, to grab the reins myself and thought, nah, do you know what? I'm not going in there 50%. I'm not right. But it is what it is. I went through with it, and on my worst night possible, he beat me on a split decision. And to be honest with you, a fight that could have gone either way. He didn't win that fight convincingly. It was a fight that could have gone either way. I got told I needed to win the last 2 rounds to win the fight, and I did do that. But they still give it to him on the split decision. And I've seen a lot of other worse decisions than that. You know, a lot. But it is what it is. I took the loss. Changed things up. Happens for a reason, I guess.
I think for a good 2.5 years after that, any kind of questions about your future at that point were like you were at some point always saying that you wanted to rematch Mendy, and it was quite a long time after, I suppose you could look at it, that rematches usually happen within, I suppose, the first kind of few months, if they're going to happen, maybe a year.
Yeah.
But it took a little while for that rematch, and you could have, I suppose, at that point thought that was in the past, but you was kind of focused on avenging that loss, and you did in 2018.
Yeah, and I beat him very comfortable. I'd probably give him 2 rounds out of the 12-round fight. But you know, it's one of those things that guy is, I think, is a very avoided guy. Like, no one seems to want to fight him. No one gives him opportunities. And I think ever since I beat him there in 2018, he's had about another 6 or 7 fights and won them all and stopped most of them. And he's a very tough guy. I think he was made out of stone or something like that. He was a very tough guy. Comes forward non-stop. But his defense, I think, is really good. Like, you don't land many clean shots on Mendy. And even if you did, the guy's tough as nails.
Obviously, during your 24 fights as a professional, you had very good wins over the likes of Gary Sykes and Derry Matthews and Darlis Perez. The fights that...
Arges Mendez as well.
Arges Mendez, absolutely. But you didn't really do things the easy way, because obviously the fights where it weren't to be on night, you were fighting literally the elite fighters of...
Pound for pounders.
Pound for pounders. Linares, Lomachenko, and then obviously we'll come on to Garcia. But that was something about you that everyone can appreciate, that you would literally fight anyone, win or lose. You're going in there with a mentality that you want to fight the best.
Yeah. I guess that's the reason why I even went into the professionals, because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself against the best, and that is literally one of the reasons why I took all the challenges. And through doing that, I hope I've won the respect of all the fans, which I believe I have. And do you know what? When I even went in against Linares, I thought I beat Linares. But they didn't give me the decision. They gave it to him on a split decision. But I still thought I beat him 7 rounds out of a 12-round fight. But it is what it is. Everybody enjoyed the fight. The fans are winning. And that's what's more important.
So it's been, since your fight with Garcia, 7-8 months. What's kind of been going through your mind in terms of retirement? At what point in that 8 months did you think to yourself, I think this is time that I called it a day?
The second I got back from the fight,
really,
it was like a switch that was flipped. And I I don't know, just completely turned off. The second I got back from the fight, I miss Christmas with my family, New Year's, miss my first Christmas with my newborn son. I don't know, it was just that it was difficult times. Obviously the fight really hurt me itself. That was I had 16 months out the ring before actually going in for that fight, which wasn't ideal whatsoever. 16 months out the ring and then going in with someone like Garcia who's been active didn't help me out. I struggled for the weight as well. Again, 16 months out the ring and not making the weight once, it took a lot out of me to make the weight. And it's probably one of the reasons why I got out with a body, because I took a lot out of myself just to make the weight.
Why have you taken 7-8 months to kind of officially announce your retirement? What were you thinking? What else were you thinking in that time period?
Because I was going into the unknown. I was going into an area where I've never been before. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't know, I've always been the boxer. For 22 years I've been boxing, now all of a sudden I'm something else. Who am I? What am I? It's loads of things going through my mind. And to be honest, it wasn't just a certain decision. It was one day I was, I'm done. The next day was, nah, I'm back. I'm going to get back into training camp. I'm not done. I know what I'm capable of doing, and I can go out there and show the world this, that, and the other. A couple of days later, I'm done. There was a lot of back and forth, and a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of nights going to bed crying and upset, and wasn't an easy decision. But now I've been through that process, I do think I'm content with my decision.
Was there a point over that kind of 7-8 months since the Garcia fight where fights were offered to you, where you were considering actually that possibility? Did that happen during that kind of 7-8 month period?
Actually, no one come to me with a fight. No one come to me and offered me a fight. I did speak to Eddie, and Eddie said, "Oh, I'd love to see you, challenge, compete at 140. We can do this and we can do that." And I had a great conversation with Eddie, and he was like, "Well, it just depends on how much you want it and this, that, and the other." So we certainly could have made things happen, but I never really backed it up. I never really followed it up. I never really contacted Eddie again and said, "Yeah, listen, I'm back in training camp now. Who we're looking at to fight," and so on. So,
do you think, Luke, if just in hindsight, if Hearn had rung you and said, "Right, there's this offer on the table to go and fight this person, blah blah blah," this may have been a different situation or not?
I'm not sure. I'd have probably turned around and said to Eddie, "Oh, listen, I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm truthfully honest, Eddie." And I would have probably said, "I'm not too sure on what I'm doing right now. I don't know where I'm at. I'm just ticking over at the minute on, I need to see what I want to do." I'd have probably come back with something like that anyhow.
But I mean, in regards to Eddie Hearn, obviously you turned over professional with him and Matchroom, and I suppose on a delivering stage, you'd have to say that he kind of delivered for you with all these
100%.
big names and the people that you fought on your resume.
Yeah, 100%. He give me all the opportunities for me, big opportunities as well. And there was two people before I made the announcement that I rang, and obviously one being Eddie and one being Shane. I mean, Shane already sort of knew anyhow, but obviously I just wanted to give him the courtesy of, because we're close friends as well as him being my coach. of it. Listen, the news is going out tomorrow. I just didn't want him to see it. But you know, I rang Eddie, and I thanked him for all the opportunities he gave me in my career, and shared some of the biggest moments in my life with him in boxing. So I'm very grateful for everything, and you know, it's put me in a great position for me and my family's future.
Obviously, the obvious question now is, what's next? I'm assuming that someone like yourself will somehow remain in boxing to some capacity.
Yeah, I think I'd like to stay involved in boxing, in doing bits and bobs. I've got a lot of knowledge in boxing. I know what I'm talking about when I see boxing. So I think that'd be nice to stay in boxing, but I've also got a lot of other things going on as well. I'm involved in a few businesses. I'm currently building gyms as well at the moment. I've got a fantastic one in the city centre. It's open 24 hours. Membership there is growing awesomely, and it's a fantastic place. And you know, so I'm looking at building the gyms and stuff like that as well. So, and then just make sure I'm around for family time. You know, I'm people say, "Oh, what are you going to do now? You're retired." I'm like, I'm more busy than ever.
Obviously, kind of people that knowing you will know that you would have been desperate to have kind of finished your career with a world title, but ultimately, can you retire satisfied? With people looking from the outside will say Luke Campbell had a great career, obviously amateur and professional, had a great career. Thought this guy did this and this, but kind of people that can read between the lines of you, even if they don't know you, will know that one thing would have been that you would have been desperate to finish your career with a world title.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I would love to win a world title, because you know that's what I wait for every day as being a professional, to get to the top and win a world title. But now I've sort of closed the door on boxing. It's like, look at all my medals. One second, how do I turn the camera? Look at all my medals. Look at all the belts and the medals. Like, all they do is sit on the shelf, you know. And I guess it's just that feeling to say I am this and I am that. But now, like I say, now I've closed the door on it. Like, I'm not bothered. I don't need a title being life. But it would have been nice. But my main objective in professional boxing was, one, financially secure my family's future. Yeah. Two, win the respect of the family. You know, I don't need a world title to make me happy in life. And I've sort of realised that now I've closed the door on boxing. And for me, my first goal was to financially secure my family from boxing. Second goal was to win the respect of the fans. And obviously the third one would have been collecting a title. I believe I've done the first two.
You 100% did the first two. I think you could see from the reaction from your retirement announcement that you couldn't kind of say that he didn't fight this person and you weren't in entertaining fights, and because you fought everyone. And I think that's one of the things that people do respect about you, because you, obviously the Lomachenko fight was here in England, but apart from that, you went to Dallas, you went to Inglewood, you'd go and kind of dare to be great. So I think everyone does appreciate that.
And do you know, when I speak to people, like your casual boxing fans, and they've said to me, "Oh, like, go one more for a world title or whatever else," and I'll say, "Okay, how many world champions do you know?" And they can only name a couple of them. I'm like, we have a lot of world champions here in the UK because we've got some very talented fighters in it, but they know my name over a lot of other world champions in the country and potentially in the world.
Yes, true.
All right, that's enough for me.
No, absolutely. I think as boxing fans, we were like wondering what you were going to do and thinking, well, yeah, but you could still fight him and you could still do this. But ultimately, listen, it's irrelevant that what kind of outside people will. I've always said that it's only really, not even the trainer, not even your family, it's only you that really knows when it's time to walk away from the sport, no one else.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I was asking my wife, Linz, what shall I do? Tell me, shall I finish? Which is like, listen, it's on you. I'm not saying nothing. If you want to continue, I'll support you. If you want to finish, I'm there for you, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but just what do you think? Don't matter what I think, it's what you're thinking.
No, people can give you their opinion, like obviously your trainer and your wife, etc., and whoever else can always give an opinion. But I think ultimately, yeah, I think it's you that deep down knows at what point that you need to walk away. So,
yeah.
But yeah, a new chapter for you in your career, wherever that is, but in your life as well. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, a little bit of adjusting time because it's just only just kind of happened. But I think you'll be all right, Luke.
I think I'll be all right. I think I'm taking it quite well at the moment. I don't know if there'll be a little bit of a backlash a month or two down the line. I'm not too sure, but at the moment, I'm all right.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be your first test.
Yeah.
When you get that moment where you think, did you make the right decision to walk away? You know it'll come. You probably already thought about it already, but
well, I went into the gym the other night, and I seen 3 lads in there and sparring, and I was only going to go in just to have a look round, see if the gym was busy and stuff like that. And then some three guys were sparring, so I thought, oh, I'll just get my gloves. I went and got my gloves, and I was just hitting the bag. And this was only the other night, just hitting the bag as I was watching them sparring. And I thought, as soon as one gives me eye contact, I'm like, should I jump in and have a round with you? So I'm in there for 10 minutes sparring 3 guys, one in, one out. And I stayed in for the 3 of them. And I thought, and then I got out and I thought, shall I go back in? only been retired a day or 2.
I was going to say, this is going to be a weird interview. It's a retirement interview that you announce your comeback at the end of it.
Yeah.
No, but you will get a moment, because obviously speaking to as many fighters that have retired, and I've always been curious to know, when they've been retired for like a year, 2 years, at what point. I mean, I was talking to Tony Bellew about it the other day. Since he retired after he's lost to Alexander Usyk, I think there's been moments where he's thought, I could do this, I could go and fight him and blah, 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 but has stayed retired. But I'm sure you'll kind of, in your head, battle those things at some point. There'll be the first test, but listen, whatever happens. It's
I mean, there's a lot of people. Oh, you've still got loads left. I have got loads left. And I actually, there isn't a lot of miles on the clock, even though I've had some brilliant fights and fought the best of the best, but I still don't believe there's many miles on the clock. But I sort of say to the guys, well, I don't need to leave boxing empty, or on the slide, because I think it's sad when fighters finally leave boxing when they're already on the slide.
Yeah.
But for me, it's going away. I just don't want to go away anymore, and that was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Well, Luke, listen, appreciate your time, obviously today, but also over the last 8 years, because having been to the majority of your fights and just in and around the boxing scene, you've never not done IFL and interview. So appreciate your time for the last, like I said, 8 years, and just go and do
Thank
whatever.
you very much. I appreciate all the support in the past. And I'm sure it won't be our last interview.
No, it definitely won't be that, because I expect to see you in and around the boxing scene in some sort of capacity. So
thanks.
Okay, this has been KUGAN CASSIUS with Luke Campbell. MBE for IFL TV. Thank you very much.